Do you remember those moments when you said yes but meant no, or smiled when you felt anger? You think you're keeping the peace, but what you're really doing is teaching the world that your needs don't matter. Now you're going to learn what it truly means to be a good person without escalating conflict. And you'll see that God would choose that version of you over every other.
Because this isn't just about being polite. It's about what happens when you hide your truth for too long. When you keep the peace by staying silent, you start to disappear. And that's exactly what thinkers like Nietzsche and Jung warned us about. Niceness looks harmless, but Nietzsche saw it as a soft cage. Every polite silence, every forced smile is a bar in that cage. Call it social glue if you like. Nietzsche called it a slave morality, values invented by the powerless to keep the powerful tame, to turn lions into house cats. When you are endlessly nice, you trade authenticity for approval and power for permission. Pause and scan your own memory. How many times have you obeyed the unwritten code of niceness? You've laughed at jokes that landed like blows. You've apologized for taking up space. You've agreed to tasks that drained you. Those moments feel small, but stack them high enough and they bury you alive. Nietzsche would say you're betraying your will to power, the primal drive in every living thing to grow, expand, and overcome. Carl Jung, looking at the human mind from the inside, reached a parallel verdict. He said we each carry a shadow, every unlived impulse, every repressed hunger, every spark of raw vitality we've shoved underground to remain good. The more obsessively we polish our public halo, the thicker and angrier that hidden shadow becomes. Eventually, the shadow leaks out as quiet resentment, passive aggression, or sudden rage. Niceness isn't peace, it's a pressure cooker. Now imagine two paths. The first is the familiar road of permanent politeness. Walk it long enough, and you lose the ability to know what you truly want. You stop setting boundaries, because boundaries risk conflict. You resent the users in your life, yet you keep enabling them, because saying no feels rude. Slowly you become what Jung called a persona shell, an empty costume designed to please an audience that barely notices you. The second path is harder and lonelier, but alive. Nietzsche calls you to step onto that path and become the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values instead of inheriting hand-me-downs. Jung calls you to integrate your shadow, to reclaim the buried strengths that niceness forced underground. Both thinkers are singing the same song, reclaim your power or wither. History shows what happens when entire cultures worship niceness. In ancient Rome, the early Christians preached humility, forgiveness, and meekness, and they outlasted the empire. Yet as Nietzsche noted bitterly, when power finally returned to Christian hands, the church wielded it with iron certainty. Niceness was never the end. It was a tactic. In modern offices, people-pleasers do the heavy lifting, while confident mediocrities climb the ladder, cashing in on the unearned goodwill generated by others. Ask yourself, when was the last time you respected someone for being endlessly agreeable? We respect clarity, not compliance. We trust forthright truth-tellers, even when their honesty stings, far more than sugary flatterers. Paradoxically, niceness chases the respect it can never gain. Jung spoke of a different ideal, individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole. Individuation demands you face your shadow and claim its rejected strengths, assertiveness, ambition, even righteous anger. Those reclaimed qualities stop being demons and start being tools. Anger becomes boundary setting. Ambition becomes creative drive. Strength becomes the spine behind genuine compassion. Nietzsche's way is equally uncompromising. He describes three metamorphoses of the spirit. First, the camel, burdened with thou shalts, kneeling to societal weight. Then the lion, roaring no and slaying the dragon of inherited commandments. Finally, the child, playing, creating new values in a spirit of holy yes. Niceness keeps you forever a camel. To evolve, you must dare to become the lion and eventually the child. So how do you start? Begin with micro-rebellions. The next time someone asks a favor that depletes you, pause. Feel the automatic yes rising. Then, politely but firmly, decline. Notice the surge of guilt. There is your internalized slave morality flinching. Thank it for its concern and move on. Each refusal is a brick removed from your cage. Second, practice honest speech. Nietzsche said, "I am not upset that you lied to me. I am upset that from now on I can't believe you." Lies rot trust. When you speak truthfully, even awkward truths, you reinforce your reality. Some will bristle, let them. Those who value truth will be drawn closer. Third, schedule solitude. Niceness thrives on constant social feedback. Silence starves it. Go on a solo walk without your phone. Journal the impulses you normally suppress. Envy, lust, ambition, anger, pride. Do not judge, observe. These feelings are data. Within them is the map to your shadow and the blueprint of your authentic will. Fourth, set a respect budget. Track moments you feel disrespected or dismissed. Each tally is a place where niceness sold you short. Confront or change the pattern. If someone repeatedly undercuts you in meetings, call it out once, calmly. If it continues, escalate or exit. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Fifth, redefine kindness. Kindness without strength is a banquet invitation to predators. Kindness backed by power changes lives. Think of Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz, Nelson Mandela in prison, Malala speaking under threat. Compassion fused with courage, that is kindness worth aspiring to. Jung observed that when you integrate the shadow, you gain power over life. Not power to dominate, but power to stand firm. Integrated people radiate something uncanny. Bullies back off, opportunities appear. Nietzsche would call this the natural magnetism of the strong, a quiet authority that needs no applause. Yet beware the pendulum swing. Some, upon rejecting niceness, lurch into cruelty, mistaking aggression for authenticity. Jung would call this being possessed by the shadow. Nietzsche would call it bad taste. Real power is tempered by self-command. The Übermensch does not needlessly wound, he creates. He chooses when to use the sword and when to sheathe it. Look again at history's giants. Galileo defied the church, yet he shared the cosmos with all of humanity. Mandela forgave his jailers, but never compromised justice. Martin Luther King Jr. preached love, yet broke unjust laws. They were not nice, they were powerful and principled. That is the synthesis Nietzsche and Jung urge, ferocity guided by vision. So where do you stand now? Count the number of times today you muted yourself for fear of seeming rude. Multiply by 365. That is the weight suppressing your potential every year. Imagine redirecting that wasted energy toward your art, your business, your relationships, your health. Imagine the life force unlocked when you stop filtering every impulse through the question, will they still like me? Here's the final paradox. When you stop chasing approval and start living from authentic strength, the right people begin to respect and even love you more. They sense substance. And those who preferred the compliant version of you, let them drift away. Their departure makes space for allies, mentors, and partners who thrive on honest exchange. Nietzsche once wrote, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." Your refusal to stay small will annoy some. Their irritation is proof of your ascent. Jung added, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege cannot coexist with chronic niceness. Today you have a choice. Remain the agreeable face that everyone likes but few respect. Or step onto the harder, richer path of authenticity, power, and purposeful kindness. This path is not safe, but it is alive. Before you click away, consider one last angle. If there really is a divine perspective, call it God, the universe, the collective unconscious. What does it admire? The parable of the talents praises the servant who multiplies his gold, not the one who buries it in fear. Jung saw the God image in dreams as a radiant, commanding self, urging us toward wholeness, not docility. Power, then, is not profanity. It is participation in creation. Playing small insults the creative force that birthed you. Rising to your full stature honors it.